Hi everyone, this is Mr. West. Today we're doing a long division worksheet, 4 digits by 1 digit, and this is from Math-Salamanders.com. They are a partner of West Explains Best, so make sure to check out the link in the description below. Before we get into these problems, they look very complicated, especially if you're not familiar with long division. They're really not that bad, but we first need to understand what is division. Division is the opposite of multiplication. So for example, we have this written here, and really this is the same thing as, let me move this over. This is the same thing as 24 divided by 8, which is equal to 24 over 8 like this. So all three of these are the exact same thing. It's 24 divided by 8. What does that mean? Well, it's going in reverse of multiplication. We know 8 times something equals 24. 24 divided by 8 equals that same something. Now, you're probably familiar that 8 times 3 equals 24, and that's our answer. So 24 divided by 8 equals 3. It's the reverse of it, okay? Just like subtraction is the reverse of addition. Now, I write this 3, very important notation thing here. I don't write it above the 2. I write it above the 4 because what I'm trying to say here is I know that 8 goes into 24. 8 does not go into 2 3 times. It doesn't go in once even, okay? But it goes into 24 3 times. So I put it over here because we're not trying to say that 2 divided by 8 equals 3. So we write the 3 above the 4. Okay, that's just a notation thing. I think we're ready to get into some long division now, okay? What's the process? Let's start with number 1. Like I said, we're going to have some number here, okay, right here, and it's probably not going to be that big. It's going to be large, but not that large. 7 times something, so 7 times something, okay, equals 3,248. Okay, and again, that's that green that I have there, but we don't know what that is. We need to find it. Here's the process. We first need to check if 7 is a factor, okay, if 7 goes into all of these numbers, okay? So we always start left to right, and we're going to start with 7. Does it go into 3? So I'm just looking at the 3 here. Let me see if I can come up with a different color. Let's try this light blue. Does 7 go in the 3? Okay, and the answer is no. 7 does not go into 3. Okay, 3 is obviously a smaller number. So 7 times nothing, no whole number, is going to give us 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next number. Okay, and it's not 2. I'm not asking if 7 goes into 2. I'm asking if 7 goes into 32. Okay, obviously I could just try different numbers and see if it goes into 3,248. But I'm going to break it up into as small as chunks as possible, and then that will help me arrive at the answer with a little less work, okay? So I'm trying to see, does 7 go into 32, okay? Another way to say it, I broke this up into a chunk. I'm trying to find out if 7 times something, that green thing, equals 32. And I can get close. There's nothing that equals 32, but I can get close to that number, and that's my goal. I want to get as close as possible. So I know that 7 times 4 is close, and 7 times 4 gives me 28. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 4, because 7 times 5 gives me 35, and that's no good. We can't pick a number that's bigger than the result, okay? We can pick numbers that are smaller, but not bigger. So we don't want to pick something bigger. We don't want to pick 5, even though it's close, because it goes over 32, and we can't do that, okay? So I'm going to get rid of some of this mess right now. Let me just circle this. This is the Notability program, by the way. Still available for a sponsorship if they're watching. So 32, we have 28. 7 times 4 equals 28. So that's why I put that 28 there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to see what the difference is, okay? Since it's too much, I need to subtract and see what's left over. So I do 32 minus 28, and I get 4, okay? Now, what do I do from here? Well, I got kind of done with these numbers. They're done, okay? But I have these numbers left over, so I'm just going to drop down one at a time. I'm going to drop down this 4 now, okay? And now I'm trying to see, because I knew that 7 doesn't go into 4, clearly, but I can drop down the 4. That's part of our number. And now I want to see, does 7 go into 44? I'm going to change colors here. Let's go to purple. Okay, 7 times what gets me close to 44? Well, I know 7 times 7 equals 49, but that's too big. I can't pick that. We needed something under 44. So I know 7 times 6 equals 42. So we're going to pick 6 because it's under and it's close. So again, I write it over that number. Notice how I wrote this 4, that red 4. I wrote it Not over the 3 because it doesn't go in, but it went into the 32, so I want to put it there. I dropped down that 4. That's why I put the 6 there, okay, right here, because we're trying to see if it goes into 44. And it goes into 44, and that number is 42. So I write 42 here. And again, what am I doing? I am subtracting because it's bigger. And I want to see what is left over. Okay, so I do 44 minus 42, and I got 2. Okay, so right now we know that 7 times 46, okay, just as a check-in, I know that 7 times 46 almost equals 324, but not exactly, okay? But that's not the number. We don't need to worry about it. Technically, we have a remainder with that, but we're not done with our number. So we're going to do is we know that 7, oops, I'm undoing here. Didn't mean to do that. We get 2. I know that 7 doesn't go into 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop down my 8. Here's me dropping it down. Drop down my 8. And now I'm trying to ask myself, does 7 go into 28? Okay, that's my latest one. Let's choose, what color? Let's go with this green. So I'm trying to say, okay, 7 times what equals 28? And this one, lo and behold, is a perfect number. 7 times 4 equals 28. It's a whole number. So I'm going to write 4 there because it goes in evenly. It goes into 28, where that 8th digit is, perfectly. Okay? And what you do is same process. Even though it's exact, we're going to follow that same process, and we get 0. Okay? This is what's referred to as the remainder. So if there's no remainder, that means it fits in perfectly. Okay? If there is a remainder, that means there's some pieces left over. It's like if you have 10 people at a party, but only, and then like 12 slices of pizza, every person is going to get 1 slice, but there's going to be 2 left over, okay? That's what's called a remainder. But this one, there is no remainder, so 7 times 464 is going to be our answer, okay? So I would rewind this, rewatch it if you want. I'm not going to use those colors. I might use those colors again, okay? But I'm going to kind of speed this process up for number 2, okay? So what's the process again? Well, first we're trying to see if 5 goes into 3. That's not going to happen, so we move it over. Does it go into 32? Okay, it does go into 32. It goes in 6 times. 5 times 6, again, I'm multiplying this times this each time and writing that number. So I'll do light blue this first time. So I get 5 times 6 is 30, and I subtract because it's too much, and I'm left with 2. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down this 1, drop down that 1, okay, and now I have a new number. 5, does it go into 21? It does, okay? But it doesn't go in perfectly, just like it didn't go in perfectly to 32. So how much does it go into? Well, it goes in 4 times, and that's 20. So I'm going to I'm going to multiply 5 times 4, and that gives me 20, okay? This thing's kind of irritating. I don't like those right now. And I'm going to drop this down, and I'm subtract, because I want to see how much more is left over. So it's 1. So I go to my final color here, and I drop down my 5. Okay. And now I'm thinking to myself, okay, 5 times what gives me 15? This one is a perfect number. And what do you know? These are not going to have remainders, okay? So none of them have remainders, so we should be getting good answers here, whole numbers. And I do 15 minus 15. 5 times 3 gives me 15. Okay, that's as close as I can get, and it's exact. And I have no remainder. So my answer is 643. 3,215 divided by 5 is 643, okay? And it goes in exactly. Or another way to say it, 643 times 5 equals 3,215. And that's just the start of this, okay? So if you need help with more of these, be sure to leave a comment. I can do more problems for you, for sure. I do tons of problems like this on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check out more of those videos. Either way, I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.